Hey, today I want to do a message on the pursuit of happiness. That's guaranteed in the Constitution. And it's a cherished uh, traditional value that we as Americans um, love to think about, and we should. However, there's a little catch. Here's my take on it, all right? Now, as somebody who loves freedom, loves the ability to pursue things and build and make things better and try to build a life, and to it took me a long time, you know, to learn to because we have so much pride. We don't want anybody to tell us nothing. So even in school now, unfortunately, schools have been hijacked by the secular humanists. They go by a lot of different names, but they're uh, also known as scientific humanists. That's the name they love. And basically, what they've done is taking God out of the equation, okay? And they call themselves scientific. However, that's not accurate, because in modern science, the branches of modern science, Christians have founded, almost all the branches. Look at Michael Faraday. He invented the motor. Um, and he's an amazing guy. He was somebody who loved the Bible and believed that it gave instructions for all situations at all times. That was his quote. He was dyslexic, and he was in working as a bookbinder, and he read. And the bookbinder, the man who owned the shop, gave him a room so that he could perform his experiments as well as read. Reading is so important. But the real problem is what you're reading. See, we're only as good as our information given to us, all right? And so what's given to us nowadays is filtered by these secular humanists, and they call themselves scientific humanists. But their evolution is not scientific, okay? And if they really had the truth, they shouldn't be afraid of a creationist viewpoint. They should allow all viewpoints to challenge them. But no, they will not open the discussion up. They have taken control since 1950. And anybody who's grown up in America since 1950 is subject to a massive brainwashing. And that has harmed you in your life to no end. And it's left you devoid of many things, including regular honoring of the Bible, reading the Bible, learning from the Bible, developing a relationship with God on a human to God level, personal relationship. That's all been put on the side for what's called enlightened humanism. Now, let's get back to how I started. The pursuit of happiness is, we are all charged with that responsibility or mission. We all have that opportunity. Not everybody's going to do that, and people do it in many different ways. All right, believe it or not, the saying "eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die" is the philosophy of most people. It becomes the default go-to, and it all comes down to selfish employment of that phraseology. But that actually is from the Bible, and it's a description of people without God, and here we go nowadays. And we basically that's our philosophy, the hedonistic, whatever you want to call that. Look out for number one, career-minded first. And that has left America in a system where he's stealing everything he can, even as a government employee. That's what's going on now. We got all about stealing power. If you're asked to give to a charity, 80% goes to administration. A lot of these crises that take place, that's taking money right off the top. Obviously in what's going on in Minnesota is just the tip of the iceberg. It's happening. It's a playbook in a lot of municipalities and local governments, state governments, and federal government. So it's all about stealing. And it's because it's all about looking out for number one, taking what you can. All this insider trading the congressmen are guilty of nowadays, where their personal net worth has increased. That you go to jail for that 30 years ago. Now, it's the first thing they probably sign you up for when you become down there in Capitol Hill, right? So that's left us with a company that's burgeoning in debt, and we just keep writing more checks, and the problem is it's eventually gonna cook up. It's like in Boston, they had the pressure cooker, the molasses that exploded one day, and you just put so much in the pressure cooker, it's gonna explode. The Bible talks about Armageddon happening, and that's a scary thought. But there's a lot of Christians who think the world's gonna get better and better, but they're missing out on the book of Revelation. Most of these people don't study the book of Revelation. So that's a lot of scary stuff, some bad news. But let me tell you something. Pursuit of happiness is available today. It's the joy you receive when you know that you're going to live forever because of what Jesus did. This is a spiritual, supernatural event that happens in your life. And you'll never find it thinking about secular humanism and everything devoid of God as being some enlightened, transcendental occurrence. No, the word goes forth. It does not return void. Just the word Jesus is saving people. In fact, that name means God saves. So you don't have to pursue happiness. You do not have to. You have joy. You have happiness, contentment. Paul talks about, I know the secret of contentment in Philippians. I can endure all things through Christ Jesus, who strengthens me. Okay? He knew what it was like to have nothing and to have much. But it's all meaningless if you don't have Jesus. And that's the secret of contentment, is having Jesus in your life and to go on adventure with him, with your life, on a moment-by-moment, daily basis, because God's sovereign over every moment in your life. So the pursuit of happiness is a done deal with Jesus in your life. So that's my message today.